Ah, yes. It is time once again for our segment, the Cinema Veterinary Centre. They are located on Cinema Drive in beautiful downtown Valencia. Dr. Jamie Ronchetto, welcome back.
Thank you.
Can I either have you move the microphone a little closer, or have you? There we go. Beautiful. Now we have you on every few weeks to talk about things. I need like a theme song for it. I was looking for How Much Is That Doggy in the Window, but we don't have it there. Plus, you don't sell pets. You happen to make them better.
Yes.
And I came up with a segment, and I want to forewarn anyone listening that, it's breakfast time. We're going to keep this very professional, but it's a segment I like to call Things Our Pets Do That Make Us Go, Ew. And they seem to do it at the most awkward and inappropriate times, such as like when you have guests over or things like that. First one I want to talk about, my dogs are experts at this, and I have smaller dogs, they're beagles, so I know that usually there's the one reason we're going to talk about why this happens. They do this wonderful little trick where they take their front paws and they just drag themselves along the carpet, and they look like they're just getting the scratch of the lifetime. And my one dog, Otis, he can even like spin around in the same spot. It's amazing. It's almost like you want to grab the camera and get it on social media. But there are a few different reasons for that. The first one is especially on smaller dogs. What would that be?
Yeah, especially with smaller dogs, the scooting or licking can mean that their anal glands or their scent glands right around their rectum are too full and need to be expressed. And
that is something that is best left to professionals, although people can do it on their own, but you probably want to do it in a more professional setting.
Yes, most clients that have requested to learn, after they see how it's done, they say, never mind, you can do it.
I will gladly pay for it, and if you decide to do it at home in a well-ventilated area, to say the least. So that's the one. But there are other potential issues that could be if it's either a larger dog or you happen to know that you have just taken them to be expressed.
Yeah, I mean, larger dogs can certainly have the same problems. Sometimes they need their anal glands expressed as well. Other causes can be just allergies in general, or internal parasites sometimes will cause them to scoot if they're a little bit itchy back there. So certainly checking a stool sample, bringing a stool sample in for us to test it for parasites is always a good idea.
And just making sure that they are having the regular checkups and regularly expressed, or at least checked for that.
Absolutely.
As it were. Yes. Don't try this at home. Another one, this is more of a behavioral thing, and again, it's always at the most awkward times, and I'm able to tell now when one of my dogs is especially adept at it, and I usually just go grab the thunder shirt, but sometimes when they get kind of amorous, especially with people who show up that aren't regularly at the home, and they seem to be amorous with certain body parts such as appendages or legs.
Yeah, yes.
Sometimes, very embarrassingly, shoulders has happened to me from a friend's wonderful canine once. But is that just a behavior of dominance, or what is that?
Most times, yeah, it's behavioral. They're trying to assert their dominance over the new person. They think of their family group differently than we do. So sort of everybody is considered a dog to them, and if they want to be top dog, then that's a way that they can assert their dominance and make sure that everybody's more submissive to them. Yes.
Is there anything that can be done from a training aspect or behavior aspect, or is it just in the dog itself?
A lot of times just trying to, if it's a bit of an older dog, an adult dog, you can retrain them to modify their behavior, make sure that they understand that you are top dog or alpha dog, and make sure that they can listen to you, make sure that they, any new person coming into the home, a lot of times it helps if they're an overly excitable dog, if the new person would ignore them at first until they're into a more submissive and calm state, and then give them praise and pets. That works really well too.
I noticed, and this, because I can tell, again, that Otis, the spinner, he's the one that seems to have some of those issues. We got him as an adult. He was like 2 or 3 years old when we got him. And I could start to tell he gets a little, like, the way he moves before he does anything. And at a party the last time I had, because he was starting to get a little, I could just tell now, fortunately, before the embarrassment happens. And I put a thunder shirt on him, and it tended to kind of like set him straight. It calmed him down. So I don't know if it's a partly also an agitated thing, or he's not sure if he
Exactly.
should.
If they get anxious, unsure of themselves or their surroundings, then a lot of unwanted behaviors, let's say, can crop up.
And whether or not the Thunder Shirts work for everyone or not, he gets really excitable and a little nervous, and that seems to work. I at least wholeheartedly can raise my hand and say it works for my dog. Moving on, one more thing with dogs, and I want to talk about cats real quick, is dogs who tend to, and pardon me again, if you're eating breakfast, you might want to cover your ears or just bear through it, tend to eat their own poo. And what does we were talking off the air about there's a few different theories on that.
Right. There are a few different theories on why dogs would do that. In addition to their own, certainly dogs will eat cat stool out of the litter box. They eat like bunny poop, all sorts of things. It's a very gross habit, and we don't entirely know why they do it, but especially for eating their own stool, it could be a lack of certain minerals or vitamins in their diet, depending on what kind of diet they're on. Sometimes it can be a training issue. If they were crated as a puppy, crating I think is a really great thing, but a lot of times if they don't entirely get trained, they can start eating their own stool to sort of clean up after themselves. We don't entirely understand it completely, but it's a very annoying and gross habit, and it is hard to break once it starts.
And those are things they could, and on the regular checkup, they can talk to you about some potential remedies, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One last thing, let's jump to cats. Cats are really easy. I've had cats over my life. I love them. Don't have them now because 3 beagles, and I just have enough going on right now. And speaking of litter boxes, man, they think that's like the delicacy, so forget about that. But their cats are very easy, especially kittens. It's almost like you just put them in there, you scratch their little feet around in the litter box, and they know instantly, pretty much, with rare exception.
Right.
But when cats go outside of their box, that's kind of a serious thing, especially when they know where to go, right?
Right, absolutely. And the most important thing with that is trying to figure out if it's a medical issue or if it's truly a behavioral issue, because a lot of times they will go outside of their box for a medical reason. Kitties that urinate outside the box a lot of times will end up having a urinary tract infection, so they're either trying to show you that there's a problem, there's blood in the urine, something like that, or they just literally can't make it to the box and they're having that straining feeling, so they're just sort of going wherever. A lot of times defecating outside of the box is usually more of a behavioral issue, and using products like Feel Away, it's a kitty pheromone spray or diffuser, will help a lot with any kind of behavioral issues when it comes to that.
Absolutely fascinating. It's true. They can't just say, hey, I'm not feeling good, or I'm not getting enough minerals, or,
right.
a little itchy back there. So that's the way they come out. So
they
those
have
are the
to
things.
show you in other ways.
Yeah, that's right. So Dr. Ronchetto, thank you so much. Don't forget the Cinema Veterinary Center, I should say, located on Cinema Drive in Valencia, cinemavet.com. Thank you so much. Always looking forward. Now I got to come up with something equally clever when you come back in 2 weeks. Time is 7:48. We'll be back in traffic after this.